Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The hum of helicopters as Americans evacuate, the acrid smell of smoke as documents burn, an empty flagpole atop the U.S. Embassy, a primetime television appearance by the Taliban. This is how the 20-year war in Afghanistan is ending. The Taliban has taken over Presidential Palace in Kabul. This is something we were told wasn't possible for at least another 30 to 90 days, if at all. And now we've just learned Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has approved sending 1,000 additional U.S. troops to the country for a total of 6,000, more than double what were on the ground when the drawdown started.
Hot mess. And what did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? A nation that has been engulfed in civil wars since God knows how long, that lives like it's the 6th century. There was only ever one outcome when we decided to pull out. There was only ever one outcome. To understand the desperation of human beings, to understand the fear of which these human beings are going to be going through with retaliation and living under this horrific Taliban rule. All you have to do is watch the airport. There are video footage of people holding onto airplanes and then falling off airplanes from thousands of feet above. Think about that. People are getting on an airplane, holding on to, desperate to get out of the country, to flee the country, holding on to the side of an airplane, and then plummeting to earth below. This is a nightmare that is massive. It is out of control, and this administration is playing the blame game. Sorry, brother, at some point in time, you wanted to be president. You chose the opportunity to run for president. You got your pals to help you, put you in there. You were a part of this. Did Trump cut a deal? Yeah, at the end of the day, he did a lot of things that you reversed. Some countries will never get it. I think the BBC put it best. I think they said something about, America's 20-year effort to bring liberal democracy to Afghanistan has failed. That was always going to be the case. We can't fight for you. If you don't want it, nothing we can do. $1 trillion+. 2,400 American lives. Numerous people injured and their lives change forever. And this is what we have. We have us leaving. Is our tail between our legs? From what? Here's something that America does. We get in. We don't really know what to do once we're in there. Right? There's no real plan. What again? I mean, we had to have essentially a rebuttal to what happened on 9/11. We figured out where we needed to go. We went there. We did that. But then we set up shop. And then we're like, all right, we're here. Now what? Well, let's try to build a nation. Let's try to give them something. You're not doing that. And now it's pointing fingers.
The president has not spoken publicly about the situation in Afghanistan in nearly a week, but he did put out a statement doubling down on his reasons for pulling American troops out of the country and saying he inherited a deal cut by former President Trump and that it has led to this current turmoil.
Yeah. So stop blaming and start to stand up and say, all right, what do we do? This was not, by the way, something that just snuck up on him. No. I think we thought that the Afghan army would put up a much better fight, and they haven't. But the Taliban, oh, God, they're rolling through. They're raping, they're pillaging, they're killing, and we're like, you guys better watch out. Or what? What are you going to do? It's not a nation, again. Stop thinking of it as a nation. It's an area that is mountainous, that is rugged, that we've drawn a border. And the world said, all right, this is what we're going to call Afghanistan. And all that's inside of there is warlords and tribes. And this one tribe is ultra powerful. This one tribe is dominant. And this one tribe is going to go back and put everybody back to where they want them, which is the 6th century. Stop blaming somebody else. This was your chance. you could have figured something out. Do we want another surge? Do we want more boots on the ground? Well, what was your end goal? If your end goal was to waste $1 trillion, then you did everything you wanted to do. We got bin Laden. He was next door in Pakistan, which Pakistan, by the way, is probably not as thrilled as some people think. Oh, yes, some of the fundamentalist radicals are probably thrilled, but the nation itself is not thrilled by what's going on. They're a little nervous because they're watching the Taliban once again regain power, which usually means for Pakistan that there's going to be some issues. This is a nightmare, not just for us, but for the surrounding areas. An absolute nightmare. And yes, we should ask some serious questions. For months, they were saying, there's some stuff going on here. They're making moves. They're doing things. Last week or last month, Biden comes out and goes, that's not going to happen. They're not going to do anything. Oh, they did. And they did it rather easily. Because when push came to shove, it's easy to stand there and act like a badass when behind you is the United States of America and their military might. But the minute they left and they had to stand up on their own two legs, they failed. They didn't have the want, and they failed.
Afghanistan is in the throes of yet another chaotic and desperate chapter, an incredible tragedy for its long-suffering people. Afghanistan is spinning out of control.
Yeah, and that's what you have. Now the question is, how do you stop anything nasty from happening there? You got to be honest. I don't know if this administration has the cojones to do anything. I don't think they do. If I was them, I would throw everything at the Americans' face that you would want to think you could throw at them, because let's just see what they're going to do. Because I don't think we're putting boots on the ground. And if I'm Biden, I just tell them, look, you know what? We're leaving. We shouldn't have nation built in your country, but we had to come here and do something. Here's something we're going to tell you. All things, as far as this goes now, said and done. You've got this. We're moving on with our lives. If we find out for one hot second that something has come from here, somebody has trained here, somebody has put together something here, they've designed something, whether it is a bomb, right, or a plan to do something, and it lands on our shores or our ally shores, we're going to act swiftly. And by the time you think you can shoot down one of our drones, we'll have built 50 more. We will outdo it, and we will never put anything here, but we will rain hell fire on you all day long. All day long. And some days, we'll just do it for the fun of it. So, that's the way it is. Call it a glass factory. Call it whatever you want. Understand, we're not going to play around. We're not going to do anything like that. We're not going to talk about putting boots back on the ground. We will send a tsunami of hell. So be prepared. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Hope you had a good weekend. Crazy. It is. And this is going to get, to take and to knock Afghanistan, to knock the Delta variant off the front page, off the front of every newscast, it's got to be something big, right? It's got to be huge. And that's kind of what this was. I mean, they're still fighting over schools. We're still fighting over the Delta variant. We're seeing numbers in some places that are tremendous, other numbers that are just kind of, they've come back down to earth. But the reality is, to see something like this and to see the criticism, not just by the people on the right that you would expect because it's politics, but from people on the left who are asking serious questions about what the hell was all of this for, to see those things, you must think, man, this has to be something big. This is big. Let's remember, 9/11, we're less than a month away from 9/11. From 20 years, 2 decades ago, that took place. And nearly every one of you listening who can remember, you know exactly where you were on that day, what took place on that day. You knew exactly what was going on. You know why we were there. We had people that fought over the last 18 months, over the last year, in Afghanistan who were deployed there, who weren't even born. 18, 19-year-olds who weren't even born. We lost tons of men. We lost women. We saw a nation that we thought we could help rebuild and give them a future, all gone in seconds. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. You go there, get yourself some Rough Greens. Rough, baby. Now, let me tell you something about Rough Greens. I want you guys to understand something about Rough Greens. I give my dog Rough Greens because I like my dogs. I love my dogs. I like Bouncy. I like Happy. And I like the fact that my dog Doodle, his life is 1,000 times better because of it. Couldn't imagine going home and spending time without my dog Doodle, who is, again, he's a dog we adopted. I was joke. I mean, like, within a month, his face turned white. We're like, he's not 5. They dyed his hair. But I love every second of it. It's got probiotics, omega-369. It's got all, vegetables, vitamins, minerals, all these incredible things. Brings your dog's food to life. And every night, take a teaspoon, sprinkle it on their food. It is a supplement that brings their dog's food to life. Try it for yourself, and you're not even going to have to pay for it. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. They're going to send you a bag absolutely free. How do you get it? Simple. ruffgreens.com/Chad. Ruffgreens.com/Chad. You go there, boom, sign up for it, pay for the shipping, out it comes. Try it for yourself, put it to the test. If you don't like it, hey, you know what? Don't have to worry about it, but I bet you're going to love it. ruffgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
From the ruins, there have been moments of hope and anguish. Hours after the quake, a woman and child pulled from the rubble alive. But as night fell, this mother, Oxaline Merency, overtaken with grief. The body of her 7-year-old daughter, Esther Danielle, recovered.
Yeah. Massive earthquake, Haiti. The decade after a massive hurricane. I mean, the earthquake then killed anywhere between 200,000 to 300,000. I was just telling the guys, right now there's 1,000 people that are dead to 1,500. And those numbers will go up. And we'll never know the real numbers. But the disaster now on the humanitarian level comes. Lack of food, lack of any kind of structure, and lack of resources. This is where the nightmare really comes into play. Think about this. The Dominican Republic and Haiti, they're an island that's just cut in half. The Dominican Republic has, well, for whatever reason, a lot of different reasons. They have infrastructure that's much better. They have they get battered by storms and some stuff. They just don't feel it the same way Haiti does. And Haiti's corruption, I mean, we're still, 4-6 weeks past since their president was assassinated by mercenaries and drug kingpins? I mean, this is insane. And now they've had this.
More than 3,500 homes destroyed, many now living out of makeshift tents. And the earthquake has placed further strain on the nation's already strapped resources.
We don't have electricity. For now, we don't have water.
Phone lines are also down. This Haitian community in Columbus, Ohio, trying to reach their loved ones.
I have my sister, my cousin, my brother, my uncle, and I really worry because I don't know if they're alive or what happened to them.
Yeah. And this is, again, another one of those situations we see the tragedy and realize how blessed we are. I have been through some massive earthquakes in California where it's like, I didn't worry about my house falling down. I wanted to see what the pool next door was going to do, if it was going to empty out. And boy, did it. A couple of them. That Northridge quake when I was a kid. Whoa! Man, that thing lost several feet of water. It was crazy. I never worried about our house falling down. I never worried about any of those things. And even with that, people in the Dominican Republic felt the earthquake. You didn't hear about the damage. You didn't hear about some of that stuff that you do in Haiti. And it is going to be a situation where they're going to need all kinds of stuff, from food to medical supplies. It's a nightmare, and it will be months before we know what the real death toll and the devastation has been. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. All that being said, we live in a nation where, while they struggle for food, we're like, hey, do you guys want more?
The largest single increase in the history of the food stamp program, now known as SNAP, has been approved by the Biden administration. The Agriculture Department says starting in October, average benefits will rise more than 25% for all those in the SNAP program, about 42 million people. Average monthly per-person benefits will rise from $121 to $157. Food security activists say the COVID pandemic revealed existing benefits just aren't enough.
And inflation. Let's not forget that. He is bumping it up because we've got inflation, and you can feel that. Meat prices up, lumber prices, that put a huge dent on some people's home buying side of things. Hell, even used vehicles.
In the last month, wholesale dealers started paying about 1% less after hitting historic highs earlier this year. Still, though, an analyst at Edmunds.com told me if you can wait another 6 to 12 months, wait. Prices will come down further as supply chain issues are sorted, but it will take time.
Yeah. So if you got a used vehicle, I had a friend last week whose lease came up, and in his contract, he'd have written out for like $22,000 to buy his car. And the blue book on that thing's about 30 G's, even with all of the miles. And there wasn't a ton of miles on it. That's what the blue book is at this moment in time. So if you have a used vehicle, now is your chance to strike while the iron is hot. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are going to hold the Taliban accountable to not allowing al-Qaeda to have a safe haven there. And if they do, there will be costs and consequences for the Taliban, in addition to the direct suppression of al-Qaeda that we will have the capability to pursue.
No, you're not going to do anything of the sort. I think we know that. You moved. You bounced. We tried to give people who don't understand democracy an opportunity at democracy. We tried to give people the opportunity to see what democracy was about. We have a great way of getting into things and a horrible plan once we get there. Because usually the plan is, well, let's stay here forever, I guess. I don't know. That's it. They were just waiting. They took their opportunity the minute we left and said we were leaving, and then they just sped the process up. And the first ones to run away, the first ones to jump ship, was the Afghan military. That was the first ones. Now, well, people are talking about moments. Is this one of those moments that will be etched into history, much like Saigon?
We have real Saigon moments there with Afghans trying to get out of Afghanistan. They are desperate because many of those people who worked for the Americans especially are in dire straits. They are most definitely, with the Taliban, they're now in control on a kill list. The way this is playing out is truly putting people in very, very great danger.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen any of the horrific video today of people who are trying to get on the sides of our big giant planes, right? Those C-130s or whatever those things, they're holding on to them. right? They're jumping onto these planes and they're grabbing onto the side of the planes. They're holding it, and these planes are taking off. They're taxiing down the runway and they're taking off, and they're thousands of feet in the air, tens of thousands of feet in the air, and you see bodies flying off of them. People who can't hold on and who fall to their death. Kind of like 9/11 when people are throwing themselves out of the window. It is horrific. The Taliban, we are not nation builders. It's not what we're here for. And I think this showed everything we need to see about nation building, especially when the nation itself is so fractured. There's a reason it's never been conquered, because it's not a nation. It is tribal clans. It is brutal rule. And hey, you girls out there, when everybody's upset about their pronouns and all this kind of stuff, think about these young women whose lives now are changed forever. Wearing the full burqa, never leaving their house, no chance at an education. Brutal rule that went on before and that will continue. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. On top of all of that, we're still doing the battle with this thing called Anyone? Oh, yeah, it's called the Delta virus. It's not gone anywhere. It's still here. We've got the giant, huge mask fight that is still going on. I mean, last week I saw there was a fist fight between a teacher got beat down by a parent over a mask. That's where we are.
Now, a cloth mask surely can give you some protection, but it's not the kind of protection that you get when you use a much more effective mask. We've been doing a study looking at the public use of masks. We find routinely 20 to 25% of the population will continue to wear the mask under their nose. That's nothing more than a diaper for your chin. And so what we want to do is inform people, yes, mask, but most importantly, give them the information about how they can get the more effective masks and how they can use them.
Yeah. Give them the information. But the mask itself that you're buying at Target or Walmart while you're standing in line and it looks kind of cute because it'll match your outfit isn't going to get anything done. And that's something that we need to be aware of. And then you look at the other side of things. It's the vaccination side, right? The vaccination side is the place where we should be pro-vax. Not, people say, you're anti-mask. No, I'm pro-vaccination. If you talk to your doctor, I'm pro-freedom. But if you ask me, do I think the vaccination is safe? I do. Do I think it works? I mean, the numbers are the numbers, right? If you go and look. But let's not talk about it as a vaccination like we would think of it. We have to continue to talk about it as being a protection from not only catching it, but should you catch it, being a therapeutic rather than we think it's a one-and-done kind of shot. Then on the other side of things, people are trying to figure out, well, how do we get people to take these things? They're throwing around all kinds of things. How about insurance? Could your insurance be a little bit more?
Huge numbers of people who, for whatever reason, remain unvaccinated. So what do we do about them? A recent op-ed in the New York Times suggested higher insurance premiums for them in the same way that smokers also pay higher rates. In effect, a tax on the unvaccinated because, quote, the logic behind the policies is that the offender's behavior can hurt others and cost society a lot of money. But will that work? And is it fair?
That's the big thing. Is it fair? Will it work? I don't know if it'll work. A lot of people look around and they say to themselves, I'm not getting it for several different reasons. Not all of it is based in insanity and conspiracy. Some of it is based in, I'm not getting it for this. I'm not getting it because I'd like to see it for a little bit longer. I'm not getting it because my doctor said, you're going to be fine. I mean, who knows why you're not getting it? But if you're not getting it for the reasons that are out there, which is it'll protect you from the, right now. And in the case of a breakthrough, which, again, there hasn't been a ton. If you go look at how many shots have been delivered and how many breakthroughs are out there, and it'll keep you safe, then you stand back and say, well, if you're not getting it for that, then why would you get it because you think your insurance may go up, which everybody's may go up. at this point in time. Author of that op-ed, Elizabeth Rosenfield, talks about what we've tried before.
Elizabeth Rosendahl is the co-author of that provocative op-ed. She's the editor-in-chief of Kaiser Health News and a former emergency room doctor.
We've tried all the carrots we can, the $1 million lotteries, the free beers, do it for your grandmother, and it hasn't worked. We're stuck at the 60% level. We have got to move this needle. We have to say, okay, you are putting others in harm's way. It costs society a lot. So
yes,
time to use the sticks.
So, carrot, stick. First of all, nobody wants a carrot. I don't know how many times I tell you guys, donuts work way better than carrots. Second thing, and I think this is extremely important, is stick isn't going to work either. In fact, I think what you're going to find out is people are going to push back harder. Over and over again, we've seen that. It's not just this, but in life. It's like I see with my little one. She pushes back way harder. So you've got to, at times, sometimes you're like, you're doing this, but other times you realize, all right, I got to come up with a way where it is reasonable. Meaning, I'm giving you the options here. Well, this to be reasonable. Trying to punish you for something isn't going to make you do it more. In fact, it's probably going to make you push back more, even if you know it's the right thing to do. We may push you right out of ever wanting to do something like this.
And Adam Gaffney is a critical care doctor and assistant professor at Harvard Medical School.
Well, obviously, I share the goal of vaccinating everyone. There's several things wrong with that argument. Number one, first of all, not being vaccinated already carries the risk of death. Do we really think that adding a parking ticket is going to make the big difference? You mentioned the smoking penalty. That has been studied. And you know what they found? They found that all the smoking penalty did in the ACA was actually push some people out of getting health coverage. And it didn't improve smoking cessation rates.
Oh, wait, what? Yeah. It didn't improve all the things they thought it was going to. That's so much of what it's about. What we need to do is stop making this thing political by talking about just data and facts. If you take the data and put it out there, the facts and you put it out there, and you don't put around it the politics of it and allow people to make a certain decision based on only data and facts, based on only the story, not the story around it, I think you'll find it will go a lot way. The problem is there's no money in that. And the media enjoys the fact that it can paint pictures. They don't care that when you go and look that most of the people, and by that I mean the vast majority of people that have passed away from this, have had 2 or 3 comorbidities, and anyone? Like 480 to 500,000 of the 610,000 were all above the age of about 60. That's the story that they're not going to tell you, and that's just data and facts. But instead, you have to paint a picture. Did you hear about this little girl that died? This little boy that died? That's awful. But why are you singling out one and telling a story? When we should just look at the numbers, and the numbers be the numbers, and allow people to make decisions solely based on that, not based on what you're trying to push.
We want the unvaccinated to go to their doctors. We want them to hear about the dangers of smoking and the dangers of not smoking, and the dangers of not being vaccinated. Those are 2 very good reasons why I don't think this is the right way to do it. And we haven't maximized all the other things we can do to get people vaccinated. We should have more creative approaches, including teams going home to home, vaccination clinics at camps, at parks, at schools, at churches, at barbecues, and at museums. And we can do a lot more. So I think there's better ways to approach this issue.
Yeah, but shaming people, treating them different, whatever you want to do, it is not going to work. It's only going to turn more and more people off, and it's going to turn people against it. And if that's your goal, then that's a win. If your goal is to try to educate and allow people to make it seem like it's their idea, a little bit more subtle, nuanced, I think will go a long way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. They're called Raycons, the best earbuds around. Absolutely the best earbuds around. This weekend, Jack, he's out here visiting, and he went with the girls to stay with their aunt for a couple of days. Got a big pool and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. He took my Raycons. So yesterday, I was forced to go out and play a little golf with these cheesy, horrible earbuds that weren't Raycons, And eventually I said, screw it, I'm not going to do it. Kept falling out of my ears. The reason I love Raycons is, first of all, the fit, right? Every ear is different. So what do? 6 differently sized gel tips to fit any size ear. Charging capsule, which is amazing. Fully charge your earbuds 4 times on the go, which is incredible. And the sound quality is second to none. 32-hour battery life with the charging capsule, right? Built-in microphone, which makes calls easy. And I just love how seamless the Bluetooth pairing is. Never have to worry about any of that stuff. Several different colors to choose from. And right now, extra 15% off. With that extra 15% off, they start under $70. You get a 45-day happiness guarantee, free shipping right here in the United States of America, and 1 year satisfaction guarantee. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, something happens to your earbuds. Anything, right? Your dog ate them. They spit them out. You send them back, no questions asked. They're going to send you a new pair. How cool is that? Save big right now. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Extra 15%. They start under $70. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
My name is Guy. It's an even bigger opening than anticipated for Free Guy. The comedy starring Ryan Reynolds and Killing Eve's Jodie Comer pulled in $28.4 million domestically in a theater-only debut weekend. That's not only good enough for first place, it's nearly $10 million more than the highest pre-release estimate.
We're all gonna die.
Last week's number 1, The Suicide Squad, takes a big header to 5th place. The debuts of Don't Breathe 2 and the Aretha Franklin biopic Respect took 2nd and 4th, respectively.
Yeah. I wanted to see, I want to see 2 of those. Respect, I'll see it when it's, I say I want to see it. Like how many times I end up going to the movies. I haven't been to the movies in forever. God, it's one of the things I miss. And some of it's just been, when we moved around, for those of you guys who follow the show, we have moved around on a few occasions as far as, where we are show-wise in our hours. And so for me to go to bed, because I do my other show, and I don't get out here till 6. So it's not like I have time to go see a movie like I used to, wake up a little bit later. But I miss going to movies. And this weekend, I tried to fit a bunch of stuff in, including a nap and some golf. God, yesterday, because we're out here, it's Phoenix. Normally it's like 300 degrees this time of year. We were like 94 yesterday. And I went and I was going to play 18. So I played the first 9. Right? Ladies all, hey, it's really busy out there, so don't be in a hurry. I'm like, okay. So I played the first 9, and I play it at 100 miles an hour. Like there's nobody in front of me. And I'm like even par going into the last hole. I think a bogeyed it. So I was like 1 over. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Right? There's nobody in front of me. I got to the 10th hole and I played 2 more holes and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not waiting 35 minutes a hole to tee off. Just not going to do it. It was a nightmare. The beauty and bad of good weather. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Afghanistan is a hot mess. People are asking questions about the guy that's handling this, and that would be Biden.
The president did not think it was inevitable that the Taliban were going to take control of Afghanistan. He thought the Afghan National Security Forces could step up and fight because we spent 20 years, tens of billions of dollars training them, giving them the best equipment.
And now, who has the best equipment? The Taliban. Who do you think's taking that equipment? Driving around and all that stuff? Right. What an absolute nightmare.
Many of these people were interpreters. They helped Americans during the last 20 years. The way this is happening is very, very tragic. The U.S. military pulled out before these interpreters, before these people who helped Americans were themselves out.
Yeah. And that was the big thing. Let's get some of these people out who we know is going to pay the price for helping us in any way, shape, or form. And now we're in a situation where it is a mess. It is an absolute disaster. And the humanitarian side of things, if you could look at this and see what's going on, whatever they're saying, the Taliban, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Don't listen to a word they're saying. They're going to kill and destroy everything in front of them. They're going to enslave a group of people that thought for a moment that they were past something like this. And now, well, now it's all done. $1 trillion+ gone. And the worry about, is the war on terror about to heat up again? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out the interwebs. Got our stuff there. People ask me, why don't you tweet more? You know what? I tweeted a lot, but I just, it's crazy, right? Just post one thing and then watch people fight over it, right? And then watch you get blamed for something that you didn't even post or say. That's the other side of stuff. If you're just going to make stuff up, why do I need to go out and post things? Let's cut out the middleman. Saves me time. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
In a word, an absolute failure.
The hum of helicopters as Americans evacuate, the acrid smell of smoke as documents burn, an empty flagpole atop the U.S. Embassy, a primetime television appearance by the Taliban. This is how the 20-year war in Afghanistan is ending. The Taliban has taken over Presidential Palace in Kabul. This is something we were told wasn't possible for at least another 30 to 90 days, if at all. And now we've just learned Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has approved sending 1,000 additional U.S. troops to the country for a total of 6,000, more than double what were on the ground when the drawdown started.
Nightmare. Let's go over some scenarios. Nightmare. Humanitarian crisis. Cleansing. Sharia. Keep rolling them out. Murder. Rape. What happened? 20 years. 20 years. What happened? We tried to give people a lesson in democracy. We tried to give people the opportunity to see what it was like to live in some sort of freedom, and they were ill prepared for it. We trained a group of people, and I just tweeted something, and I'm like, Tim Pool tweeted, I retweeted it. Us training some of their men who were going to fight. And all they were trying to do was teach them how to do jumping jacks. And I'm like, it's like a skit out of Monty Python or Saturday Night Live before it sucked. It was, I'm like, the nuance of the jumping jack they cannot grasp. I don't think this is going to be something. The Taliban are hardened fighters who are going to impose along the way Sharia law and are going to do whatever they want to do. Because at this point in time, who are they going to listen to? Just curious. At this point in time, who are the Taliban fighters going to listen to? You think they're going to pay any attention to us? No, hell no. They're not. 2 decades. Getting ready to start a 3rd decade. They welcomed in the late 70s, and by that I mean the very latest you can be in the 70s, all the way through till now, some of the worst to come into their country. Some of them came because, hey, we're here. We're part of the Mujahideen. We're here. We're going to help you fight the Russians. These people are evil and bad. We're going to help you do this. And along the way, their power grew. And their power grew and their power grew. And they truly, the Taliban, emerging from that, grew into a power. By 1994, they were the dominant force, imposing insane rules like you can't fly a kite. Why? Because apparently Muhammad didn't like that. Television, pictures of animals. This is the stuff. And ladies, you don't even want to understand what it's like. I don't think we can. The fear, not being able to learn how to read, write, educate yourself, being stuck in a back-asswards country like it's the 6th century. Producer Anthony and I were talking about this before the show. He said it best. They look medieval. Basically, it's what it is. And now, well, now we need to ask the question, what the blank happened?
The president has not spoken publicly about the situation in Afghanistan in nearly a week, but he did put out a statement doubling down on his reasons for pulling American troops out of the country and saying he inherited a deal cut by former President Trump and that it has led to this current turmoil.
Stop blaming somebody else. Here's the reality. At this point in time, you are the cat that's in charge. At this point in time, it is your rodeo. So now, what are you going to do? Nothing. You've stepped away. You've been extremely quiet on this. You've watched this thing fall apart. And over the last several weeks and months, you've been alerted to the fact that the Taliban were picking up steam. And you thought, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Well, guess what? Stuff's happened, and people are asking questions about you and the way that you've handled this.
The president did not think it was inevitable that the Taliban were going to take control of Afghanistan. He thought the Afghan National Security Forces could step up and fight because we spent 20 years, tens of billions of dollars training them, giving them the best equipment.
Which is now going to be used to fight against us. And the question is now, what do we do? We're not going back in. We should never have been nation building. We're really good at getting into stuff. We're bad at having a plan to get out. If that indeed was our plan. Never wanted to go into Iraq. We absolutely had to go in and have some response to 9/11. Now the question is going to be, what happens from here? Because you can threaten them. Hey, don't let anybody else come in here and just, set up shop. You know that's not going to happen, right? Of course they are. What happens if it goes from point A to point B and it lands right here? What do you do? Seeing what's going on right now? Seeing what's happening right now? And the way that they're handling all of this, the Biden administration? Of course you're going to want to try something. Of course you're going to want to push the envelope. But do you tell them, don't make us bring boots back in here? Or do you tell them, we're going to light you up. We're not going to bring boots. We're going to rain hellfire on you like you couldn't believe. If we have to, maybe we turn it into a glass factory. Somebody's like, how could you say that? What would you just want us to put more boots in there? 20 years. What was our goal? Was to stop terrorism? Well, for 20 years, we stopped it emerging from there. Didn't mean we stopped it altogether. So now what? 2,400 plus lives lost. 2,400 plus lives lost there. Numerous men and women injured. That's just on our side. What's the next move? People are looking at you. Right now, President Biden is seeing a rise in the Delta variant. Don't blame him for. But it isn't going the way he thought. He's seeing the Afghan military, of which we trained and put how many billions of dollars into, only watch them flee. And now a humanitarian crisis as we leave, fall apart on his watch. Inflation is up. And people are asking questions. Oh, and let's not forget about the border, which is an absolute unmitigated disaster here. So what's next? What's next? Because people are asking questions. Even people that support you are asking serious questions about, well, what's next? What are you going to do now? Even the people on the left are asking questions.
But President Biden, just last month, quote, the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely. He was wrong.
What the president has done is make sure that we were able to adjust to anything happening on the ground. And the fact that he sent additional forces in, we had those forces at the ready in the event that this moved in a direction where we needed forces in place to ensure that our personnel was safe and secure.
Why didn't you have the troops in there and then let that happen first before taking them out?
That status quo was not sustainable.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. A nightmare. And if you've not seen the video, don't look at the video, but now that I said that. Well, you can go watch the video I posted today, which is kind of funny, watching these guys try to do jumping jacks. And I'm like, this cannot be real. Like, the nuance of the jumping jack can fool you. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, we weren't just training one Gomer Pyle, it looks like. We're training guys that have no chance against hardened fighters who this is all they've ever known. They've been fighting since they were children against the likes of the Soviets, other warlords and tribes, and now the U.S. and anything else they throw out their way. So, nightmare. But it's funny. You listen to Blinken there. It's like, well, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. No, well, tell us what our main objective was. What was our goal out of this? If our goal out of this was to spend $1 trillion, see thousands of people killed, tens of thousands of people's lives change forever through injury, not to mention the countless casualties on the other side, giving them an opportunity to have some freedoms and some democracy, only to watch you get pissed away within hours. If that was your goal, then mission accomplished.
From the perspective of our strategic competitors around the world, there's nothing they would like more than to see us in Afghanistan for another 5, 10, 20 years. It's simply not in the national interest.
You keep changing the subject to whether or not we should be there forever, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whether or not this exit was done properly, taking out all the service members before those Americans and those Afghan translators could get out.
Yeah. And watching people today cling onto a side of an airplane, holding on for dear lives as it taxis down the runway. And as it's taxiing down the runway, they're not falling off there. They're holding on. They're getting tens of thousands of feet in the air, and you could see them falling off, much like what took place on 9/11. People jumping out of the building, 100 stories up, 70 stories up, falling to their death. Watching that, understanding the desperation. I think Cheek Tapper's right. Guys, you jacked the pooch on this one. You did. You jacked the pooch on this one. Should you have not have said, hey, you know what? Here's the thing. We may not like it. We may not want to be there, but at some point in time, maybe you step back and say, man, I don't want to be here. We're going to have to figure out a subtle, better way to do this, but yanking everything out right now, the pull-out effect, it ain't going to work. So we better figure out a way we hunker down and at least keep Kabul and figure out how we can offer a safe haven, especially to some of these people who we know are going to be the first to die in a horrible way once the Taliban gets a hold of them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Haiti shook over the weekend, 7.2 on the Richter scale, 10 years after a 7.0 devastated the island. You've got Hurricane Grace that's bearing down on them. There are already anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500, depending on what you're looking at, numbers-wise, people dead. But that will climb into probably the tens of thousands. The last earthquake of this magnitude, anywhere close, killed 200,000 to 300,000. A lot of that was disease-based afterwards, which is always a possibility. And they're still reeling from the fact that about 6 weeks ago, their president was assassinated by mercenaries and drug dealers. It is a nation that is in super turmoil. And, I mean, it shows you what kind of weekend and news cycle we're going through, when the news is asking questions that have nothing to do with mask, Delta variant, and shots, and is all to do with the fact that we're talking about Afghanistan and Haiti. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. MyPillow offers you towels. All kinds of goodies at MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. What do you get? Chances for all kinds of stuff at deep discounts. Towels themselves are a 6-pack. You get the 6-pack right there. 6 towels. 2 giant ones. 2 like mid-level like hand towels. And you get the 2-pack washcloths. From there, what do you get? Well, you get a 6-day money-back guarantee, 1-year warranty, Normally these things go for $110 right now for you. $39.99. Get this and all the other deep discounts at MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a peek. Find out what the big trends are on the old interwebs. I think we all know that Afghanistan's trending big time. Google, last 24 hours, not even close, 2 million plus searches for Afghanistan. Things like Sharia law. People are searching that. What exactly does that mean? Where is Kabul? It's crazy. And Biden. New York Times, failure. Final failure in Afghanistan is Biden's to own. I mean, that's right there front and center of what people are talking about. You can blame it all you want on the last guy, but you had an opportunity to pivot and to do some stuff while we figured this thing out. You chose not to, and the way you've gone about it, the naivete to think that they were going to be in a situation where they were going to be like, oh, yeah, we'll listen to you. And just to let you guys know, they're not listening and taking the Constitution, the Taliban, into play here. They're not listening. I don't think they're going to recognize that. Barcelona is also trending. A lot of people here in America are finding out Barcelona plays first game without Lionel Messi. Superstar went to Paris Saint-Germain. They could not afford him at Barcelona. It's about 2 billion euros in debt. That's what happens when your average wage for your players is about 15 million euros, about $18 million. That's for the average player there. That is insane. Travis Barker flew for the first time since 2008 when he was in a plane crash. Because eventually, his girlfriend, one of the Kardashians, Khloe's like, we're going to go somewhere because I have stuff and I need to fly around on things. Head on over to Twitter. Twitter, it's the same. Afghanistan. People are asking questions about what the hell happened and where exactly is Joe Biden. Also, Afghanistan's first female mayor says, I'm waiting for the Taliban to come because I know they're going to kill me and people like me. Awful. Awful, but the reality is this is what's happening. You knew it was coming. And we let down the people that helped us. We stepped away from that. We should have ensured that those people who took the opportunity and risked their lives to help us got out of there first and foremost. But this thing could have been done in a better way. And while, yes, you know what? Trump signed a peace accord. The reality is everybody knew that thing wasn't going to be worth what it was written on. You can go back and listen to us talk about that. Like they're going to march right in there. They're just standing there. Are you guys leaving? We got next. Are you leaving? Okay, here we come. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Here we are, August of 2021, still talking about COVID. We could be talking about this for a long time. So if you have an upcoming wedding, I would consider offering these wristbands for your guest so that they can tell other people what their comfort level is, taking some of the weirdness and the awkwardness out of hugging or fist bumps or high fives. It offers your guest a different way to say, hey, I'm good, or no, I want you to keep your distance. Just an option.
Yes. Yeah, do that. Offer color-coded wristbands to people. Color-coded wristbands? Yeah, offer that. Hey, I want you to stay a little bit farther away from me. Or hey, it's like, wow. That's, again, back to where we are. Fighting over this, right? We got a nightmare going on in Afghanistan, and now we're fighting over... Once again, masking. Should we mask? Should we not mask? What's going on with the kids? It is a debacle. And what started out, I think, for Biden as this, hey, we're getting a million people a day vaccinated. Look at us go. We're cracking the records. We're on our way to getting to a point where we can put this thing behind us, has now bubbled up to it's becoming a nightmare again. And in some places, it is beyond a nightmare and turning into a disaster. Case in point, look at what's going on in Louisiana, in particular, New Orleans. They're struggling. Their hospitals are overrun. Texas, Florida, in many places, not every place, seeing an absolute massive rise and pressure put on their healthcare system. It is, people are frustrated and they're angry. And they're mad at their governor. They're pissed. They thought we'd be out of this. We all thought we'd be out of this.
The positivity rate among kids at Children's Hospital New Orleans is roughly 25%, according to physician-in-chief Dr. Mark Klein. He's imploring those eligible to get vaccinated and for schools to require masks.
Sending children back to school in sort of a mask optional arrangement with the rate of transmission that we currently are seeing in the community is just a formula for disaster.
He says optional mask policies will inevitably result in clusters of outbreaks, which will lead to quarantines and school closures.
Yeah. It's going to happen. It is. And we're back here again. We're back here again fighting over this damn thing. And it is frustrating. It is. My stepdaughter, already out of school. Took virtually no time. She's there for I think 8 days, 10 days, start the school year. And within moments, they're like, hey, somebody tested positive in this classroom, so let's take her out. Everybody's out. It's nuts. It's nuts. And I don't know at what point in time are we going to go, all right, we got to treat this thing better. And by that, I mean, treat this thing in such a way that it's not based on the insanity of the media. It's based on facts. It's based on the data. And we could take that and make decisions not based in emotions, but based in reality. If you've been vaccinated, chances of you getting this are slim. Chances of you dying from it, especially if you're even half-ass healthy, is very small. But in saying that, we live in a world where we can't put something behind called politics. And politics, whether it's at a local level or federal level, a national level, it is going to be the overriding thing. And what happens is the media and everybody play on people's emotions. And once emotions take over, reason goes right out the window.
Those two things, simple public health measures that could mitigate the transmission of this virus, have become very politically charged issues, and it's not happening to the extent that we would like.
Yeah. Dr. Mark Klein out there in New Orleans, yeah, they're a political issue. They're a political issue, and when politics takes over, they're looking to play upon your emotions. Through playing upon your emotions, they're going to be able to get you to act in a certain way or overreact in a certain way. And that's what they want. They'll focus on one thing because it makes you feel like, oh, I'm angry or I'm scared. What's the data say? Well, the data said, no, what's the data really say? Is this more deadly? No. But can it capture more? Yes. Meaning it's no more deadly than what we saw with the original, but because of the net it can cast, because of what it can do, as far as how many people it can infect, well, that makes it more deadly just based on the sheer numbers. But you shouldn't be any more freaked out. If you've been vaccinated, get on with your life. If you've not been vaccinated and you don't really care to be and you don't worry, then get on with your life. The kids are a different story, and that's the issue that's coming on. It's about schools. And the schools, and are they going to be open? Aren't they going to be open? Because the start-stop is not what parents need.
What type of protocol? How are teachers going to interact with those students? Are they going to make it part of their day to help those students keep their masks on properly? And I could not get those kind of assurances.
Because I don't think people know. A couple teachers I've talked to say you can spend the whole day doing this, right? You're going to spend your whole day, helping people pull their mask on and off like it's falling down. Got to re-put it back on. Pull it off. You're wearing it wrong. It's upside down. Is that what it's going to be? I don't think anybody knows. I don't think anybody knows fully what it's going to be like in some schools. But the start-stop you can't have. We're fortunate we don't have to worry about both parents working and stuff. And so if your child misses school for a day, for some people, that's just something that is devastating, especially when people are looking at inflation and they're living essentially, paycheck to paycheck. And in some days, hour to hour, it feels like that struggle is real. And for the kids, the mental health wise, they can't have another year like this. They can't. I saw what it did to my son. My son's pretty mentally strong. And I saw what it did to him and to some of his friends. And there was a breaking point for them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Again, Afghanistan, more than just a hot mess. It's a double hot mess. And now, where are we headed? If you've not seen some of the insane pictures and video coming out of Afghanistan, some of it is just beyond heart-wrenching.
Chaotic scenes at the airport as people clogged the roads, desperate to try and get out of the country on the few remaining commercial flights. Some inbound flights were cancelled at the last minute, having to turn back upon approach. Meanwhile, the skies have been heavy with the sound of Chinooks and airplanes ferrying U.S. civilians, diplomats, and others out of the country.
But we didn't get everybody out. We couldn't. And we should have found a better way to do this. Just because we say we're going to do something on a timeline, sometimes you have to, again, write your future in pencil, not pen. We're going to have to change. We didn't. Taliban continued to grow in strength, continued to push forward. And as some people call it, was like there was Saigon-esque moments. Martha Raddatz, ABC News.
We have real Saigon moments there with Afghans trying to get out of Afghanistan. They are desperate because many of those people who worked for the Americans especially are in dire straits. They are most definitely, with the Taliban, they're now in control on a kill list. The way this is playing out is truly putting people in very, very great danger.
Yeah. And we've had people say, oh, it's not our Saigon moment again. It's not that. And then others are saying, no, this is not. This is Saigon on steroids. And seeing people to cling to airplanes, seeing people hold on to airplanes, seeing them hold on as the plane takes off on the outside of the airplane and then falling thousands of feet to their death. Understanding that form of desperation to leave that country. Think about that for a second. At whatever point in your life have you been so desperate to get away from something that you're willing to hold on to the outside of an airplane? Is incredible. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Raycon. Best earbuds around. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. 45-day happiness guarantee. You don't like them back, you send them back. They give you your money back. You get a 1-year warranty, no questions asked. You break them for whatever reason, something, dog eats them, whatever, send them back. They're going to give you a fresh pair. You're going to love these things. I had to wear some cheap ones yesterday that weren't Raycons because Jack took my Raycons with him because that's what he does. And so I was stuck non-Raycon-y to play a little golf. After about the second or third hole, I said, screw it, taking these things out. They're awful. They hurt my ears. Raycons don't. Why? Because you get 6 soft gel tips that are amazing. You take those soft gel tips, find out the one that's right for you because not every ear is the same. Fits perfect. Feels amazing. The sound quality second to none. The capsule. You can get 4 full charges for your earbuds out of the capsule. And then you charge it right back up and away you go. So that means you don't have to be plugged in somewhere. Just put them right back in the capsule and away you go. Several different colors to choose from. Free shipping right here in the United States of America. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. That right there, you use that. They start under $70. That's what your 15% discount right there. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Wanna be boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers. One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
So while we're sitting here watching a country implode, we're sitting here watching people run for their lives. So much money out there. I know that sounds weird, but it does show you how amazing our country is and the opportunities. Do you guys remember this youngster?
And all these hoes laughing like something funny.
She's talking about the audience, that they're laughing at her.
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes?
Yep. Catch me outside. How about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you outside? What does that mean?
What I just said. Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch You Outside. Bad Barbie's what her name was. Back then she was just Catch Me Outside girl. Danielle Bregoli is her name. She's making some money. Yeah, she's making some money. And you go and you look back. Get ready for this. She made $1 million in about 6 hours. All right, $1 million in about 6 hours. Doing several different things. She's got her OnlyFans. She's got all kinds of stuff. She's got a Bentley, souped up Jeep. She's got nominated for several Billboard Music Awards. Now, get ready for this one. She's thinking about spending $4 million cash for a fully furnished home in Boca Raton, Florida. That's 6,000 square feet. The antics has made her ultra famous among some people, and there's enough people out there. If you would like to have her throw something up on things like any of her social media, right? $40,000 a post. $40,000 a post. That's, if you wanted to say, I love wearing this stuff. She made $1 million on her OnlyFans in 6 hours. This is what she has been able to do by taking something and running with it in the bad attitude and weird world of which we live in.
That's why I don't like it. Like, that meme made everybody think I was just this evil, hateful little girl, just wanted to kill everybody. No. That's why I hate it so much, because that's not me. That's what people got to realize with stuff like this. Is y'all can't judge somebody's whole life off of a 30-second clip. That's why when I look at this, I'm like, well, I did what I had to do. Of course I'm going to snap on people. You wouldn't? I'm like, man, y'all can catch me outside. Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you in the bank. I think now is where most people like to catch you in that there bank, because you're banking it. Is that insane? We're seeing people fall off airplanes as they try to escape a horrific situation. And Bad Barbie made $1 million in 6 hours and is going to buy a home in Boca Raton that's 6,000 square feet for cash at $4 million. You don't know where to cry and go, it's America. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. On the other side of things, a T206 Honus Wagner baseball card, which they're calling the GOAT. They're calling this thing the GOAT when it comes to baseball cards. Sold early today for $6.606 million. 20% buyer's premium is included. The previous record belonged to the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle card for $5.2 million. Upper Deck's exquisite LeBron James 2003-2004 autograph rookie card also sold for the same amount. It's an East Coast collector. Both buyer and seller want to remain. They're going to remain anonymous. And they call this thing the GOAT because, well, quite frankly, it is perfect in every way, shape, or form. Untouched. It is nuts. It is incredible to look at this thing. Aside from the T206 set was printed between 1909 and 1911. And you look at this and you're like, my goodness me, this thing is insane. $6.6 million is what somebody paid for a baseball card. You bought some history, I guess. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Speaking of inflation, there is plenty of it out there. People looking around, wondering what's going on with things like meat.
In general, consumers are facing higher prices for most goods, especially groceries, higher gasoline and labor costs. Part of the reason, tips from one consumer expert that I spoke with, shop for less expensive cuts of meat.
Yeah, if you can. That'd be great if you can find those things. Found some this weekend, but still, you're paying a premium. You definitely see it's at 20, 30, 40%, depending on what kind of meat you're getting, more expensive. And then you had a huge issue with lumber. Luckily, that seems to be kind of steadying out.
Prices famously hitting an all-time high in May. The pandemic had Americans building houses or fixing up their existing ones. As of this week, prices are down around 65%. So your next home project may be a little cheaper.
But some of those people out there who bought homes or thought they were buying homes that were told, hey, you know what? It says in your contract, we have a right to raise the price based on the cost of the commodities of which we're putting into here. And some people said, well, I can't afford that. Well, now you can take a deep breath. You may be able to go back in there and get something at a reasonable price. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Chaotic scenes at the airport as people clog the roads, desperate to try and get out of the country on the few remaining commercial flights. Some inbound flights were cancelled at the last minute, having to turn back upon approach. Meanwhile, the skies have been heavy with the sound of Chinooks and airplanes ferrying U.S. civilians, diplomats, and others out of the country.
Chaos? You think? We were never going to rule a country. We were never going to give them an opportunity in a real way to rule their own world because they weren't prepared for it. We could show them a lot of things, but there was nothing that could be done. There wasn't. None of us. This mistake, this nightmare that is taking place right now, the chaos of watching people cling onto airplanes as they fly up and they're 5,000, 10,000 feet in the air and people are falling off the sides of the airplane, holding on for dear life. That was 20 plus years in the making. We had no real thought once we got in there what we were going to do. The goal was to make sure that the hell and havoc that came out of there on that 9/11, that Tuesday morning on 2001 in September, that was gone, that those people were driven out, that it wasn't going to be a safe haven for evil terrorist organizations. And we thought to ourselves, man, look what we did, right? We helped them defeat the Mujahideen, defeat the Soviets, costing the Soviets pretty much just bankrupting them, costing them 15,000 of their soldiers' lives. We saw what they did, and then we left, and we thought, well, they'll be fine. But instead of being fine, look what happened. So the thought process after this was, well, let's figure something out. Let's try to give them something. What are we going to give them? Give them democracy. They're not ready for democracy. They don't understand it. Now what you have is a group of hardened fighters who are warlords. Think of it like if Tony Montana had an army. He's not worried about a country. He's worried about imposing his will on groups of people, and that's what they're going to do. That is what they're going to do. People are going to pay the price for this. It is out of control, and we played a huge part in this. Now, there's blame. Everybody's got somebody to blame right now. Well, people are asking questions about, first and foremost, hey, Biden, the handling of this, you really, well, but it wasn't my fault. It's the other guy's fault.
The president has not spoken publicly about the situation in Afghanistan in nearly a week, but he did put out a statement doubling down on his reasons for pulling American troops out of the country and saying he inherited a deal cut by former President Trump and that it has led to this current turmoil.
By the way, you had plenty of stuff that you jump back in and back out of. Let's not forget that. Okay? You wanted to get back into the Paris Accords, and you wanted to get back into the nuclear deal with Iran, and you wanted to jump back in and out. So don't tell me. You were warned in April. First of all, you were warned that they were building up strength and power. All we did was push them out. They're long game, and that's what this is. It's a long game. You need us to go back up to the hills and wait for you guys to leave? We can do that. And that's what they did. And the minute we left, but you started changing other things that Trump had done with the whoosh of a pin, just like Trump did with the whoosh of a pin when it came to things like the Iran nuclear sham. NATO's asking questions. The UN is asking serious questions.
Afghanistan is in the throes of yet another chaotic and desperate chapter, an incredible tragedy for its long-suffering people. Afghanistan is spinning out of control.
And it is out of control. Seeing them there, as we were talking earlier off the air, it's like the Last Supper, right? So you've got them in Kabul at the president's desk, just all chilling right there. Just like, what's up? This is it. It's ours now. Because the Afghan president, Ashraf Ghani, is gone. He's out. Fled the country. Now what? Now we watch. And the world's going to start asking questions about, is there going to be chaos? And chaos beyond this? Is there going to be chaos that leaves here? Is there going to be chaos that leaves that place and lands on our shore? And how do we react? Is there going to be chaos that lands on the Europeans? They're asking those questions again. And then all the strides they made in things like rights for women, that'll be gone, and probably already is. It is awful. It is horrible. There's plenty of blame to go around. But one of the big things is, much like everything else, we get into situations with zero plans for getting out. Zero plans for getting out. I think if all of us knew that we were there only to destroy al-Qaeda and then run them out of town and give a warning to the Taliban that we will come back and do this over and over again and make your life even more hell, unless you can keep them out of here, then maybe people would have been like, but they're watching this as a debacle. 2,400 plus troops lost their lives. Countless thousands more lost their limbs, lost their ability to speak through brain damage, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I mean, you start walking through all of this. And the question is, after trillions of dollars later, asking it, was it all worth it? Getting bin Laden, we had to have a reaction, and we did. But was this worth it? And have we finally learned our lesson that maybe it's just better to say, Boots, stay here. We have drones and other things we can do now. And do we tell the Taliban, we'll turn this thing into a glass factory? Do you understand that? Do you get it? Do you have any idea? If anything comes here, if we even find somebody who trips and scrapes their knee and we could trace it back to somebody here, they'll be held to pay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. All that going, that's knocked everything else off the front page, even though the nightmare that is the coronavirus is still raging in certain parts of the country. The Delta variant is putting massive pressures across our healthcare industry, our economy in certain areas, and the political battle is raging.
Over 140,000 new cases reported Friday and Saturday, the highest case total on consecutive days since January. Daily average cases up 930% from mid-June. The South particularly hard hit, the 8 states with the highest case rates all in the region. The Houston area out of hospital beds with a 600-person wait list to receive one.
So I always tell everybody, so the highest our death toll got up to one day was with the coronavirus. We're in the nearing 4,000. 177 yesterday. 177. You have to ask yourself, look at this is the data side of things. Look at those things that matter. Hospitalizations, those things matter. Death tolls. I think we even got up to near 5,000 at one time, maybe a little bit more. It's so hard to tell with some of these things. And again, it's also hard to tell in a lot of different ways too, because who died from coronavirus, and they go back and they fix some stuff. But, right in between like 4,500 and about 5,000 was our high. 177 yesterday. Our 7-day moving average is only 662. If you go back, I mean, we had some days where we were in the 200s. Our 7-day moving averages were low. But this is flaring up again. And it's flaring up in places where people don't have the vaccine. It's flaring up in places where if you go and look at parts of the country that are completely unhealthy, especially when it comes to obesity and many other things, you can't pretend that that's not a thing, because it is. And then you're going and looking at places where the struggle is real when it comes to the politics of this, of not allowing teachers and them to say, you know what, we need to mask up, not allowing school districts to say we need to mask up, and it's becoming a cultural clash again. And that's what you have. Teachers fighting parents, parents fighting teachers, lawsuits flying everywhere. Nobody's interested in a solution. They're interested in the politics of it all. And more importantly, they're interested in being right. Not being right overall, just being right from their point of view. And that is frustrating, because I think we all want to get to the same place. No mask, live our lives where we can fight about regular old politics rather than things like this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. MyPillow has great deals on great stuff, like the MyPillow towel set. 6-piece towel sets, $39.99. Big towel, little towel. So you get 2 of those, right? Get 2 big towels, 2 little towels, and 2 pack washcloths. You get a 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year warranty across this amazing opportunity here. They've got deep discounts on everything. In many cases, it's cotton grown right here in the United States of America. With the Giza Dream Sheets, it's grown in one small area in the Mediterranean. On top of all of that, you've got choices that are massive, from the MyPillow to the Giza Dream Sheets. Proprietary technology, and so much of this is made right here in the USA. Take advantage of all the deep discounts and grab these towel sets. $40. That's it, $40 for a 6-piece towel set. Pick from the colors you want, 6-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Use that promo code, BENSON. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Western Haiti, a desperate search underway after Saturday morning's earthquake reduced many buildings to rubble, trapping an untold number of people beneath. The wound of an entire nation has once again been torn open, and with hundreds more still missing, it's a race against time. Foreign rescue teams flooding in to provide aid. Makeshift hospitals being formed in the open air.
All that going on in Afghanistan. Haiti, another 7.2 earthquake, about a decade after the 7.1, 6.9, whichever you want to go with, earthquake devastated a portion of that island. And I say a portion because remember, the Dominican Republic and Haiti they're on the same island. They're two countries on one island, cut in half by a border. And the Dominican Republic fares so much better comparatively to Haiti. Haiti is beyond impoverished. In the Western Hemisphere, there is nothing comparatively to what it is. It's a third world country that is reeling from their president being assassinated about, 6 weeks ago, give or take? It is awful. Now, how many people have died because of this? Nobody knows. This will take weeks. You've got to worry about the fact that they don't have any kind of true infrastructure. And so lots of things from medicine to medical supplies, food, water, any of those things, it's going to be a nightmare taking care of that. And they're going to be digging out for days, weeks, and months.
Logistics getting to this area are extremely challenging and dangerous at times. So we're really working and hoping for safe passage for humanitarians is guaranteed.
Yeah. Safe meaning, are they going to get attacked by marauders? I mean, what do you mean by that? And it's still a nightmare. So for those of you who've been through earthquakes, you understand. It's the first earthquake is horrific. The aftershocks, in many cases, are the one that do so much damage. The weakening of structures. But these structures are already weak. I mean, it's not like you've got OSHA and a bunch of people like coming in to double, triple check your work. It's just you kind of throw something up and you go.
More than 3,500 homes destroyed, many now living out of makeshift tents. And the earthquake has placed further strain on the nation's already strapped resources.
We don't have electricity. For now, we don't have water.
Phone lines are also down. This Haitian community in Columbus, Ohio, trying to reach their loved ones.
I have my sister, my cousin, my brother, my uncle, and I really worry because I don't know if they're alive or what happened to them.
Yeah. So, horrible situation. And I don't think it's getting any better anytime soon. And remember, the last earthquake of this kind of magnitude that wasn't as big as this killed anywhere between 200,000 and 300,000. Now this earthquake, so far, they're up to anywhere between, again, knowing the numbers, you're never going to know the numbers. Could be 100,000 eventually, could be 10,000. But knowing the real numbers is virtually impossible. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It's a nightmare in Kabul. It's a nightmare for the President of the United States. All the while this is going on, there's still a battle of the virus here inside of this country, in particular in the South. It is not a good day. And then you got immigration. If you're not following anything on immigration, it is an absolute unmitigated disaster. A disaster.
Unprecedented numbers of migrants illegally crossing the southern border. Customs and Border Protection reports more than 212,000 people crossed in July. That is a rate not seen in over 2 decades. The Homeland Security Secretary now calling it a, quote, serious challenge made even more difficult by the pandemic.
We're seeing a steady increase since the beginning of the year of migrants being apprehended at the U.S.-Mexico border. But what makes July remarkable is that it is a high number for the hottest summer weeks. These are dangerous times for migrants to cross because of that sweltering heat.
Yeah. So many people around me. Oh, this happens all the time. Once it gets to May and June, it stops happening. Every month, it's been more and more. And these aren't just record numbers. We're going to talk about the record numbers for unaccompanied minors, for families. And know this, 212,000, those are the people that have been apprehended. That is not the total. Think about that for a second. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. More wokeness. Interesting story about companies exploiting wokeness and how one person who's ultra woke is being attacked. It doesn't matter how woke you are. They will come for you. So you better woke up. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Afghanistan cannot ever again be a base for terrorism. We also call on the Taliban to permit humanitarian organizations to continue their vital work in Afghanistan.
Yeah, good luck with that. There's a headline earlier that said, female CNN reporter was told to get out of the way because she is a woman. You're like, okay, how things could change. And it's laying there at the feet of Biden. People are going to ask serious questions about it and the way that Biden's handling this or not handling any of this. And you can play the blame game and blame it on Trump and say you were saddled with something. I'm not buying that. This is yours. You could have pivoted, said we're not leaving. We're going to keep people there. We're going to keep a certain amount of personnel there. Or you could have come out and been honest. Either way, it'd have been good. But the lack of any transparency and the trying to spin something in a way that is the last guy's fault. This is neither your fault altogether or his fault or Obama. The reality is we were hit on September 11th. We needed a reaction. We needed to send a message. We did. But we had no other plan outside of that. This was years in the making. How do we leave something? And this is where transparency and honesty, because politicians refuse to stand up and say, hey, let me tell you something. We tried to give them stuff. We tried to give them stuff. We tried to give them democracy. We tried to give them some freedom. We tried to give them some opportunity at growing and getting out of the dark ages and the 6th century and to somewhat modernize. They're not having it. They're not getting it. They don't understand it. But a lot of questions are going to be asked about Biden, and rightly so.
The president did not think it was inevitable that the Taliban were going to take control of Afghanistan. He thought the Afghan National Security Forces could step up and fight because we spent 20 years, tens of billions of dollars training them, giving them the best equipment.
And now the Taliban has them because they were, if you guys want to see what all that money got us, go take a look at my Twitter. Rarely do I Twitter anymore because I just want to fight with you guys. Go take a look at my Twitter and see the nuance of the jumping jack escapes them. So harden fighters, hardened warriors who've been in the mountains, who have fought just about everything you think you could fight, from the United States to other groups of terror organizations, to and some of them are old enough to have fought against the Soviets. This was a no chance. It was no chance. So the nightmare will continue, and it is laying at Biden's feet. But this is also 20 years in the making. And go back and look. Not having a plan, right? Carter had his plan when it came to Japan. What kind of plans do we have in any of these? We get in, but how do we get out? We don't want a nation build. It's hard to nation build when people don't understand what freedom and democracy is. We're trying to hand over our values to people who, again, before us, were living like it's the 6th century, and now they're headed back there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Before we went to break, we're talking about the fact that we have massive numbers immigration-wise. Huge numbers. Huge. In July, normally the hottest time of the year through the desert, July and August. Everybody thought, well, yeah, normally we get a surge at, when the cool times of years, but then the warm, hot time of years, people don't make that trek. We're breaking records. Records for unaccompanied minors, records for families. Biden rang the dinner bell on that second debate night, talking about the fact that he's going to give pathways to citizenship. People are not worried. They're not scared. They realize the trek is going to be fraught with danger. But as far as getting here and worried they're going to be stopped at the border and then turned around and sent back, they're no longer worried. So they're coming and they're surrendering. This is Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, caught on tape talking about what a nightmare this is.
We have seen surges in migration.
And this is him talking about this, but I don't think people realize he's like, this is unattainable. This is insane. This is nuts. This is crazy.
Before, we've seen them in the past, and migration surges are not new. Migrants encountered at our border are expelled or are placed in immigration enforcement proceedings. The rise in encounters of migrants at the southern border began in April of 2020, last year, but the increase is most certainly sharper over the past several months and greater than in June.
Yeah. So he goes out and says that. Off the mic, you hear him, and it's tough, talking about what a disaster this is.
It's unsustainable. Numbers cannot continue. We cannot get to the point where we were a couple weeks ago, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. We're looking at the policy options.
Unsustainable. These numbers cannot continue. Goes on to talk about how overworked our Border Patrol is, how much they're struggling with these kind of numbers, and that there doesn't seem to be a slowdown, and that this is becoming a humanitarian disaster, and they need to do something. In front of the camera, they talk about, well, these kind of surges happen.
For July, 212,672 persons were encountered attempting entry along the southwest border, a 13% increase over June 2021.
So he comes out and does that, but off the mic, he's like, dude, this can't happen. We can't do this. There's no way. I mean, we're on our way to like 1.5 million people. It's because they have zero respect for our border. They're desperate. We saw what desperation can do. Keep going back to what you saw today at the airport in Kabul. People jumping on the C-17s, on the outside of a C-17 as it takes off. Not one or two people, several people holding on for dear life because they're desperate to leave that country, because they're terrified they're going to die, only to plummet to the ground several thousand feet later and die. Desperation will get people to do a lot of things, but we better figure it out. Once again, like everything else in politics, we have no plan. We have no plan for immigration. We have zero plan for what took place in Afghanistan. We underestimated the Taliban, and we overestimated the people that we trained that they could stop the Taliban and somehow even have an uneasy truce. But it didn't work. And that's where we are. And it's going to get uglier there. And immigration, no plan. Plan to fail. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Wokeness always makes me laugh. It does. Woke culture makes me laugh. Right now, Matt Damon is in trouble. I'm like, what did he do? Like, of all the people, take away wokeness. If you even know what it is, like, that guy seems like a nice guy, right? Seems like semi-genuine guy. What did he do?
Someone has to tell me, why is Matt Damon always in the doghouse with the online hall monitors of righteousness? Every couple of years, Matt Damon, one of the most likable guys in Hollywood with impeccable liberal credentials, is again flailing around in cancel culture quicksand. It happened again this month when Damon revealed that he used to use a gay slur. It's not always meant as a slur, but it's wrong, yes, of course. And Damon owned up, saying that while coming of age in Boston, that word was thrown around without any thought put into it. And now he's put some thought into it, and he's going to stop using it. One might say he became woke.
Or he grew up, right? Because we do a lot of things when we're younger, and we say certain things, and things become different. We take on new connotations. They take on new meanings. There's an understanding of what these words. But you're in trouble, and this is why you never talk about your past when it comes to stuff like this. You know, because you're going to get yourself in trouble. And wokeness is being used, and we'll get back to Damon in a minute. There's a great article today in the New York Post talking about the righteousness, wokeness of the likes of Goldman Sachs and how they exploit woke values. They talk about a time where they're going to have a service day, right? A service day where they thought it was going to be one of those things where it's like, all right, we're going to dress up in shorts and T-shirts. We're going to go serve the community. We're going to plant trees in Harlem. They get there. Many people said very few of the colleagues, as some people are reporting, they were interested at all planning anything. One person was sharing gossip. Another person was just standing there arguing about who's partying harder and war stories about investments. And then finally, the co-head of the group showed up an hour late, said he wore a slim-fitting suit, a pair of Gucci boots, and, of course, a cheap digital watch because he didn't want to ruin it. Everybody was like, all right, so let's see what happens. It gets really quiet. He said, all right, guys, let's take some pictures, get the hell out of here. Everybody laughed, and that's what they did. Because wokeness will help you get paid. Woke culture, if you can exploit it in the right way. You turn to these companies to try to control them, and they do. And you got poor freaking the likes of Matt Damon, who's pretty woke. I think he's just a nice guy. I don't think he dislikes anybody, right or left, but he tries to be as woke as possible. And he's not worried about the right coming after him. He's worried about the left. He's worried about that cancel culture. He's worried about the people that want to punish because they feel they have a need to.
Okay, he was late to the party, to which we could say, welcome, glad you could make it. Or we could say, you came later than I did, die. There are too many people in this country who are motivated not by what they really believe, but by what will get Twitter to react to them with likes and retweets. USA Today, I wish I could cancel Matt Damon. Washington Post, Matt Damon has more Damon-splaining to do. Vox, Matt Damon isn't a terrible person, he's just ignorant. Really? We're talking about Matt Damon? No, he's got a clean water charity and delivers food to Haiti. What have you done, Vox headline writer?
Nothing. They don't have to do anything. They've got the opportunity to go out and tell everybody how pissed off you should be about a guy who they deem to be evil and bad because he said something that everybody else said back in the day, many, many moons ago. And because of his success, he is a great big target on his back. And he is the big game woke hunter thing that they should be hunting for now.
And yet he is always getting pulled over by the woke police for something. He's got a woke rap sheet as long as your arm. On the reboot of the Project Greenlight series, he was booked on obstruction of social justice for maintaining that a director should be chosen on merit first. But merit first is not synonymous with racism. Thinking that it is, that's kind of racist.
Yeah. And it's sad. It is sad that we're in this position where we judge people now in the most insane ways. And, everybody wants to cast a stone, and they do not live without sin. And the ones I always see picking up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stones, to me, always don't protest too much, partly because you feel guilty about something, so you want to slam down hard on somebody else.
In 2015, Damon did hard time in Twitter jail on 2 counts of accessory to homophobia for saying that actors do well when they keep their private lives private so that audiences can watch the character on the screen without thinking about the caricature from the tabloids. And that includes your sexuality. But in Wokeville, somehow that became gay actors should go back in the closet, which is not what he said. But the verdict was in, and he was sentenced to appear on Ellen.
Yeah. Like now, what was it last week? Robin is bisexual from Batman and Robin. What does it matter? Honestly. In the overall, there's like, oh, Batman's going to be like, we can't fight this crime. Oh, wait, you're bisexual? We can do it now. We couldn't before. You're playing a character, right? It should be about entertainment. It's not entertainment anymore. It's insanity. And that's sad. And these companies use this wokeness and weirdness to come down on people, but most importantly, to put a feather in their cap and money in their pocket, because they feel the more woke they are, the less crap they'll get if people knew the truth. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
My name is Guy. It's an even bigger opening than anticipated for Free Guy. The comedy starring Ryan Reynolds and Kelly Neve's Jodie Comer pulled in $28.4 million domestically in a theater-only debut weekend. That's not only good enough for first place, it's nearly $10 million more than the highest pre-release estimate.
We're all gonna die.
Last week's number 1, The Suicide Squad, takes a big header to 5th place. The debuts of Don't Breathe 2 and the Aretha Franklin biopic Respect took 2nd and 4th, respectively.
Yeah. And these 3 movies, Respect, Don't Breathe 2, and Free Guy, all opened in theaters with no streaming going on simultaneously. I love Suicide Squad 2. I liked it better than the first one. You know what I didn't have to do? Didn't have to go to the theater. I didn't have to go to the theater. So this is one of those things. As we battle Delta, as we battle the getting back to some normal way of life, the reality is a lot of these companies are trying to figure out how to walk a fine line, because you've got stars now that are looking at their paychecks dwindling and saying, hey, you know what? I was promised a certain amount of this. You guys are releasing it simultaneously. I'm getting none of any of the stuff that's happening on the stream, and my money's guaranteed off of the first 45 days in release at the theater. And that's what Scarlett Johansson's suing for. So we'll see. We'll see what movies look like. I enjoyed the fact that I didn't have to go and see these films in the theater. Not that I don't like to. I like some of them. I would totally pay. I got 0 problems with that. When you think about a family of 4, family of 6, that's like $120, $130. It's tough for a family to go to, especially in times like this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Plus, if you're home and you have little ones, they can go do other things. If you can't find a babysitter, it's also something else. Oh, chaos today at the airport. Nightmare. Listen to the sounds. People screaming and running, grabbing on to anything they could, including sides of the C-17 as it taxied down the runway. Some people were hit. Others held on for dear life as it took off. And what they got for that, in some cases, were horrific scenes of people falling off the airplane as not only it taxied, but as it took off, and it was several thousand feet in the air, and it is a nightmare. Biden is Biden. You can blame anything you want. The reality is we'll break this thing down in the coming days. But as we head towards 9/11 and the 20th anniversary of that horrible day, what have we learned and what did we get out of this? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Have a great day. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.